What is clever way to save money that most people don't realize? Fimtocrasis said. Politely make a counter offer when you get a job offer it's actually expected and there's pretty much zero risk in doing so as long as you don't turn it into an ultimatum. You're probably throwing more money away by not doing this than you can save by pinching pennies and not buying drinks at restaurants. Illustrious Stick 91 said. Small mid-size non-profit worker here. Under 75K, always ask for, at least, $5K more. No need to justify. Just something like I am eager to get to a yes, but given the responsibilities, I assumed this would be closer to offer plus $5K. Is your offer firm? And then this is important, you need to shut your mouth. Do not speak. It will be uncomfortable. But don't babble at them nervously after making the ask. If they don't have it, they will probably offer more PTO to meet you halfway. If they don't have $5K and can't increase PTO, it's a red flag that something is off. I used to tell people that I was hiring to please negotiate for vacation with HR when the offer came, especially if I was offering them top of my budget. It's a pretty easy yes to get. I have 4 weeks vacation currently, can you come up to 3 until my tenure gets me there? Fimtocrasis said. I'm in the STEM field. For what that's worth to you, I believe this advice should be fairly applicable in general though. Have a multiple interview processes going on at the same time if possible. It'll make it easier to gauge your value if you have multiple offers. I wouldn't share what the other potential employee offered you. Just use it to help measure a sane valuation for yourself. Thank them for taking time to interview you and tell you about the job. Let them know that you're absolutely interested in the position and see it as a valuable opportunity. Reminded them that you are of course considering multiple offers and are trying to find the best fit if they would be willing to negotiate the salary, or you could also negotiate benefits. Then it would make the decision easy for you. I actually gave them the actual number I had in mind over the phone rather than in writing. Then they sent me a revised offer with more favorable salary, an extra $6K in my case. There are helpful online walkthroughs that I followed, but it's been a while since I last did a job search, so I forget the exact details. Prefect said. I do this, slightly modified. I buy the item by transferring the money it would have cost into my savings account and treat the money as if it is gone. If at the end of the month, I really want the item, I buy it for real. So if I really want something, I buy it at twice the price. More often than not, I don't even bother because I've forgotten about it or really didn't want it in the first place. Also, I set a spending floor. I do not spend below that amount, no matter what, and this is incorporated into my spending. So if I run out of money because I went nuts, that's my own fault and I have to live off what I have until the next paycheck. Definitely not something everyone can or wants to do, but it works for me. Prefect said. Sure. Let's say you make $5K a month. After all your bills, expenses, savings, investments, etc. you have $3K left. A floor is a number you decide your bank account will never drop below. Let's say $2K is the floor you set. So you have $1,000 to spend as you see fit. You can spend it as I explained earlier, or spend for real. Either way, your account balance will drop closer to your floor until you either get your next paycheck or you hit your $2K floor. At that point, you stop spending. Period. It can suck if you are keeping an eye on your balance. I got caught off guard with my balance and had $20 for 2 weeks. That was not fun. I paid better attention after that. Slickshot said. Take this with a grain of salt. As a remodeler, I've seen plenty of customer fuck-ups that end up costing them twice, once for their time and materials, and once for my time and materials to fix it. If something seems way too easy, you're probably missing a step. Likewise, if you dive into good information and it confuses you or you don't have the tools, save yourself the headaches and wasted money on mistakes and hire a pro. Some things are DI friendly. Some things. Throw away for our ping said. Depending on your space, you can make your own alcohol at home. It's remarkably like baking bread. I might take a few tries to get the hang of it, but pretty soon you can make something as good or better than what you buy at the store. And while you can drop $$ and $$ on equipment if you really want to, you can also spend under the cost of a single night out at a bar and get enough equipment to last you for the rest of your life. especially if you are making beer or wine that is not being aged for months or years before you drink it. Photon Blaster said, "While I was doing my PhD and making $25K, I'd often have friends remark on my apparently lavish spending as if they didn't realize you can afford an occasional new video game or whatever when you weren't spending $15 a night on Chinese takeout. Just blew my mind that people in that income bracket, and very intelligent people nonetheless, didn't realize that $80 a week on groceries is hugely different than to meals at the cafeteria or a takeout place a day." KitterCatty said, "Buy in big packages or in bulk on sale, but also put stuff in smaller containers to use. Like dish soap, shampoo, laundry detergent, etc. You can lower the price of most things 50% basically just by tricking yourself into using less and extending the amount of time each bulk package covers. Also, when you do this with food like putting cereal or pasta into a bigger food storage container instead of the small cardboard boxes, you won't feel the need to overeat by using up the last of a small package as often if it's in one huge container and you just get out enough for one meal." KitterCatty said, "That's so true. I'm personally not against credit completely, though BC of card rewards, the future price might be higher and offset the interest, things like shrinking package sizes, cards with zero interest for a certain time, etc. It's a really individualized equation. Just like Costco and Sam's memberships are hard to justify, and sometimes food in smaller packages is actually a few cents cheaper an ounce. I get more discounts by using all the savings at Dollar General, $5 off $25 on Saturdays, plus the app has decent digital coupons, than I would by paying for a Sam's membership. But I live in a food desert without an Aldi or any grocery stores nearby that take coupons like Kroger and Heb." Pumpkin Pie Ice Greets said, "I agree, I haven't been to a Costco in a while, but they had this pack that was ketchup, barbecue sauce and mustard, and they were just regular sized bottles bundled together. I could get generic brands at other stores for cheaper than that. I have found them very good for taco seasoning. My husband loves Mexican food and we have it every week. Their seasoning lasts us forever and is so much more economical than buying the little packets every time. They're good for female sanitary products as well. Being able to buy in bulk saves us a fair bit." Miss Spaghettisho said, "Don't buy the cheapest option. Buy a couple of steps above it. The cheapest washing machine will last you 3 years and then you have to buy a new one. Just wait for a special offer, Black Friday or some sort of clearance sellout, and get the last year's model for a discount price and it will last you 10-15 years. Same thing with most machines, cars, computers and clothes. Don't buy a cheap pair of sneakers, save up and buy a slightly more expensive leather boot. Something that you can actually maintain, repair and reuse. Any furniture made out of cheap material is going to collapse eventually. Buy real wood and it will last for a lifetime. Same thing with pots and pans, bed linen, clothes and so on." MadEdge86 said, "The reason that the rich were so rich," Vimes reasoned, "was because they managed to spend less money. Take Boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50. But an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kind of boots Vimes always bought, and wore until the soles were so thin that he could tell where he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 who had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. This was the Captain Samuel Vimes Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness." Better Than Thou said, "Keep almost all your money in an account that's not connected to your card, but you can easily transfer from. Keep only enough to cover small expenses, like a coffee or small grocery store trip, in the account that's connected to your card. Every time you buy something that costs more than €20 or so, you'll need to take an extra step in transferring the money for it, and also have to look at your account balance to better gauge whether it's really worth it. This stops nearly all impulse buying for me, other than small items." Throwaway for our Ping said, "I spent $7 on a French press, and probably overpaid. It makes damn good coffee. but the best coffee I have ever had comes from a $5 Mr. Coffee that I set up the night before. I know. The coffee purists are already freaking out about the grounds being in the machine all night, and they were already frowning at my cheap drip coffee maker. But hear me out, I have the coffee maker plugged into a smart plug. So I can wake up, tell my home automation setup to make coffee, and then have it hot and waiting for me by the time I get up, put to bed and walk to the kitchen. It tastes amazing, and I probably paid more for the smart plug than the coffee maker itself. I realized the same thing that has made coffee chains millions. The only thing better than a cup of gourmet coffee is the cup of pretty good coffee you didn't have to lift a finger to make yourself. Commander Shepard said, I have developed several ways to save significant amounts of money without much effort. Thrift stores. Especially where I live, there are lots of them, and they have deals quite frequently. If you time it right, you can get just about any durable good for less. Now, it won't be new, or shiny even, but if you want some plates? Who the fuck cares? After 3 months those $10 new plates will be just as scuffed as the 99-cent thrift store ones. Same with glassware, coffee mugs. Clothes are hit or miss, because so many people are reselling thrift store shit. Go early in the AM if you can. Swap meets are same as above, but you can typically find newer items here. Beware of resellers peddling Alibaba AliExpress specials. Expect to pay more for your goods. People know what they have. Ethnic markets. They sell many things at higher prices, but if one goes to the Asian or Latin market for spices, you will get 2-3x as much for the same price, and the quality is as good. Commander Shepard said, computers and electronic goods are easily found through Nextdoor or friend networks. Always keep a few nerds under your belt in your friend group, and ask often when their company is disposing of electronics. You may just find that you don't have to pay for, say, a laptop with no HDD, a 100-foot Cat5e Cat6 Ethernet cable, or even some AV cables and donglers, some of which can be expensive. University surplus, government surplus. These are open to the public, and they sell everything from furniture to computers and bicycles, even vehicles, at rock-bottom prices. Restaurant supply stores. Same as above, but some are not open to the public, so find a way to get in, or order from one like Standard Restaurant Supply, which is open to anybody. You can get everything from dishware to appliances at about 1/3 RD to 1/2 the cost of a premium cooking store. Lots of good knives as well. FRKN Turf said, don't buy coffees or lunches daily. I worked with a guy who was always complaining about being poor, but the guy spent $5 a day on coffee and $12 on lunch. That's $1,225 on coffee and $2,940 on lunch over the course of the year, factoring in vacation days, for a total of $4,165. Break that down over 12 months and it's $347 a month. Also wait a week or two before buying something you want to make sure it isn't an impulse. I can't tell you how often that one has saved me a fortune in shit I didn't really need. Edit. It should go without saying you should have a budget drawn out and live within your means as well. Personally, I track every single one of my expenses so I don't overspend. Terrible Attitude said, yep. Of note, this doesn't work for people who genuinely are not making enough, which frequently is the case. There's no tip or trick that can help them. Systemic change has to be made. But oh boy. The number of people I've known who I know for a fact make the same more than me and have the same lower base expenses, bills, rent, etc., and are always broke. This is what they do. They do not ever cook, make sandwiches, or brew coffee. In a pay period, they'll get Starbucks for breakfast, fast food for lunch, and Grubhub for dinner 12-13 days a week, and literally not eat the day before payday because they have $0 in their account. Then ask how it's possible I always have money, since we make the same. Once one of these people asked if I wanted to go out eat and I said I couldn't afford it. They asked, you can't afford, low number of dollars? We just got paid a few days ago. Yeah, I may have $5 or $10 or $25 literally in my account, but that doesn't mean all of those dollars are available to spend now. If I have $200, a $50 bill due, grocery shopping to do, an empty gas tank, and plans to go out on Friday, I don't have $200. I have $0. Pumpkin Pie Ice Greet said, I think there is a lot of marketing that scares people into buying right then and there. There are places like TJ Maxx, TK Maxx that tell you on big signs buy right now or it will be gone. And I've seen other places that say once it's gone, it's gone. So it causes a panic and people think they need it right then and there. Etsy has this thing where it will say only one available and it's in 10 people's baskets. For all we know, the seller is the one adding it to multiple baskets to try and drum up interest. I've missed out on things before, but I would rather that than have purchase regret. Checks Out said, pretend you're a broke college student for a month, then gradually add things back into your life. You'll have a new appreciation for small things like getting the good bread or something. A reset like that can help you realize which lifestyle creep things you don't really want and make you more thankful for things you were taking for granted before. Tips on living like a broke college student. You don't really need any subscription services. Check out movies, audiobooks, and more at public libraries or find interesting YouTubers or Twitch streams. Carb chicken vegetables seasoning can be cooked so many different ways. Current favorites include Instant Pot teriyaki chicken rice bowl and slow cooker barbecue chicken with homemade fries and cooked vegetables, if you're spending more than $2 per person per meal. Cold water is delicious. Public parks, game nights, and movie nights are free and great activities for hanging out with friends and family. Just getting into this myself, but gardening is a fun, rewarding hobby that gives you food and can be a way to recycle food scraps. Jim Forever said, take a lesson gleaned from Milton Friedman. He is the economist who during World War II saw that the Treasury was struggling with money coming in, specifically with people being able to pay their tax bill at the end of the year. So he had an idea, and suggested it. Why not have taxes withheld from paychecks and we can have the people reconcile at the end of the year and either pay the difference or get a refund? You see, cutting the check every quarter or at year's end was too much for a lot of people. So the money coming into the Treasury was not good. But when a little was taken out every pay period, people adjusted accordingly. So do the same thing yourself if your employer allows it. Set up a savings account and have a little bit of money, say 1% of your net pay, withheld every pay period. You will adjust your spending habits, hopefully, and be saving a little money. Then every time you get a pay increase, commit some of the raise to the account as well. I would praise the benefits of compound interest at this point, but with rates being what they are. Catgirl 3614 said, I'm used to just spending money on my debit card. If I see the money in my account, I want to spend it. I recently bought my first car and haven't been able to save any money. My BF and I are trying to buy a home and I needed to start saving again. I've recently got an organizing envelope binder and labeled them with each bill I have, then other categories for things I normally spend money on. I organized like this. Bill 1, Bill 2, Bill 3, Bill 4, Bill 5, Bill 6, Fund Savings Houses, Pet Fund, Car Gas Fund, Groceries. This has helped me so much. I take all my money out of my account, split them all according to the bills and such, and then savings and finally fun. I try and leave myself $100 for a month for fun. I've literally been able to save so much money and I even spend less. The Schwa said, when you pay your bills, let's say cell or internet is, for numbers' sake, $183.54, round that up to $184 or $185 flat, nice whole number, when you budget. After you pay the bill, you'll have that margin amount left over. It's not much, but a couple dollars or cents here and there will add up over time. Also, as someone else has said, set a spending floor for yourself. I call it a 0 point. Whatever you have in savings or checking, set an amount, $20, $50, $100, whatever reasonable amount you can manage, and make that your zero. If you have $350 in your checking account, but spend as if you really only have $250, you'll now have that $100 for emergency food, gas, part of a bill. That $100 doesn't exist until you really need it. As you save money, you can increase that 0 point to wherever is comfortable. Generating Text 341 said, it's not saving and investing for retirement, even if you can afford to do that. It's cutting out things that you really don't need to spend money on that would be better spent elsewhere. For example, people buy things like designer clothing and expensive purses just because they look good when in fact, They're actually not necessary and you can easily get the same thing without spending a dime or having to put in any extra effort to do so. You can't go around saving money and being totally frugal. If you were only frugal, then you would only have enough money to cover the bare necessities. That's not very frugal if you ask me. Instead, I suggest that you find things you can cut out and not spend money on, and do those instead. Some people just don't have the discipline to not spend money on things that they don't really need, but if you're willing to find ways to save money, like couponing, selling old stuff, looking for sales, using coupons, buying generic brands, etc., then you can save more money than most people by finding ways to spend less. Shaft 6969 said, "Careful with that. If you are on a deductible plan and your prescriptions count towards it, if you have something happen where you hit your deductible limits, you'll regret it. This happened to me a few years back. I'd been saving maybe $5 per month using a discount plan instead of my insurance for a monthly script. Ended up with a serious issue that put me past my high deductible. At least $500 worth of scripts I had bypassed my insurance was not counted. So I saved a few bucks, then lost $500 because they weren't counted to my deductible. Plans vary significantly. The more scripts you have, the more likely you'll end up hitting your deductible due to those same health issues. For me, it was penny wise and pound foolish." Fisk Limber said, "I've recently been trying to fast from spending on certain days of the week. I don't know if it is a unique concept or even wise, but the thought is that by limiting my spending from Friday to Sunday, and not spending any money for Monday, Thursday except for recurring monthly payments, I will, on average, spend less than I would otherwise. It forces me to meal prep, which is good for both health and finances, and not spend on unnecessary things for at least 4/7 days of the week." These Spooky Bones said, "Learn how to cook legumes, and treat meat more like a luxury item. If you let vegetables go bad too often, start buying frozen. Before you grocery shop, take a moment to see what can be made with what you have left. Beans, lentils are crazy cheap and can be prepared in a million different ways, while being healthy and filling. Some of my favorites are falafel, crispy black bean burgers, and curried lentil and sweet potato shepherd's pie." Let's Jet Pizza said, "Give yourself an allowance and stick to it. I'm a grown adult with a mortgage, kids, and a good career, but my personal allowance is only $150 per paycheck. This allowance is to cover all the things I want but don't need, like restaurant meals, fast food, social outings, recreational activities, non-work clothes, in-app purchases, etc. I can spend it on whatever the heck I want and my husband can't say a thing about it. He has an allowance too, but it really makes me choose my priorities while still allowing some freedom for the occasional poor choice." Cockmunchmaji said, "1. Don't be a fucking idiot. 2. Don't eat out. 3. Don't buy shit you don't need before you buy shit you do need. 4. Coupons are literally everywhere. Take advantage. 5. Don't be a sucker. People with a good sales pitch are much more powerful than you think. 6. Never buy things at the counter. They're cheaper elsewhere and you probably don't need it anyway. 7. Don't smoke for fuck's sake. 8. Discounted items are not always worth buying. 9. Your get-rich-quick scheme most likely won't work, and the lottery is a scam. 10. Ramen noodles." 4 Acid Rain said, "When you feel that urge to go to the movies, or the mall, or out to a restaurant for the 6th time this week, or to the club, don't. Check out Reddit, or YouTube, or Wikipedia, or something from Project Gutenberg. I'm bored is not a valid excuse to hemorrhage money like a fountain 14 times per day. Let the extravagant unnecessary expenses be a treat, not a daily staple. There's more than enough entertainment value online. There's really no sensible reason to go drop $16 on a movie ticket, $3 on popcorn, $2 on a soda, plus fuel Uber bus expense, and to do it 3 nights per week. An acquaintance of mine was on a kick to pay down her crippling student loans. She never understood this. Her big idea was to meet a nice guy on one of her outings and seduce him to solicit his help in paying it down. She wasn't very successful, but she did manage to run up huge credit card debt on top of her school loans. That really helped her financial situation." Iwumbo2 said, "I disagree with the stop using your credit card part of this. Paying for your groceries with a credit card instead of cash doesn't save you money all of a sudden, since your groceries cost the same either way. In fact, using your credit card can save you money if you have a rewards program of some kind. Mine gives me 0.5% of cash back on all purchases, with that amount doubled for purchases at grocery stores. This can add up. I agree that a credit card can make it easier to accidentally overspend. But if you're responsible with your money and budget and can avoid impulse purchases, a credit card is fine. Musasham said. Below are things that help. I give myself a cash allowance and leave the money cards at home. It helps prevent overspending if you have a budget. It also helps reset one's responsible mindset. To prevent an impulse purchase, count to 20 and see if you still want it. Helps distract the mind and no longer want it. Make and eat breakfast at home. Wake up earlier if you have to. You'll be less tempted to buy snacks during the day. Research free alternatives to stuff. There are websites or blogs that talk about free stuff. I know of a few websites called JanesWebGoods.com and Gigology.com sometimes shares free stuff. Those are good blog examples. Santa I know him said. If you're buying pizza for a group, that is multiple boxes, get it in the largest possible size they have. Believe it or not, a single 18-incher is more pizza than two 12-inchers together. Geometry of a circle at work. Go half and half for the less popular toppings like green peppers, pineapple, chicken barbecue, etc., if not skipping them altogether. That's typically where the leftovers are at the end that nobody wants to finish or take home. You should only get these if requested, otherwise just cheese is probably better if you're worried about somebody not having anything they like. Square cuts so people who just want to try a certain topping can take a smaller piece. They'd probably rather not have a big slice of it anyway.